In part 3, we will start working on the Unit 2 circuit board. As you can see, there's not a lot of parts that goes on this one. So we'll start by mounting the resistors. We still have some half-watt resistors and 1-watt resistors and 2-watt resistors actually to go onto this one. So we'll start mounting. There's a couple of 1K resistors, R35 and R36. Goes right in the middle of the board here, R35 and R36 here. Okay, that's those two. And now we have a bunch of 180 ohm resistors. That would be these ones here. They're brown, gray, brown, and that's all these ones. So let's open up this package. And this is going into R37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42. So there's 37 and 38 right down here. And then 39 and 40 are over here, and 41 and 42. So 4 of them in a row here. Oops, I wasn't supposed to solder that over. That was a screw up. So I'll just get some solder wick out here and open up that land. Okay, that's the last of the 180s. We have a couple of 15 ohm large 2-watt resistors to go into R43 and R44, which are right here on the board. Now 2-watt resistors, I like to set these a little bit up from not making direct contact with the board, just because a 2-watt resistor could get warm. So I don't want to set it down right flush with the board. I just want to give it a bit of space for ventilation, just in case it does get warm, because, well, the reason for using a 2-watt resistor is because you're going to dissipate some heat. So we'll just raise those ones up off the board ever so slightly. Okay, that's got R43 and 44. We got a couple of film capacitors here to go in, which is C17 and C18, and they just go alongside of these other resistors here. And now we can mount the volume controls. Here's the volume control, and it just mounts right on the front of the board here where it says VR for a variable resistor. Snap it down like that, and there are 6 pins to solder up on here because it's a dual volume control, it's stereo. Okay, that's got my volume control installed. Pretty obvious where that goes. We've got 9 pins to solder up on the bottom of this, because of course you've got your inputs. You got your switch through for the speakers, so that's 2 for left and right, and the input and the output, and then you've got your headphone left and right, and then you've got your grounds. So the headphone jack would have a double pull, double throw switch, so that when you plug in the headphones, it switches the output transformer over to the headphones, and it would go through this resistor reduction. You got to keep it under a load, right? So it would switch in a load and switch out the speakers. So that's why there's so many pins on the headphone jack. Okay, headphone jack is installed. What's next on here? We got a couple toggle switches to go in here. There's actually 3 switches, and switch 1 and switch 3. Why is there 3 switches here? It looks like there's got to be another one here somewhere else. But switch 1 is this one, which is a 6-pin switch, and switch 3 goes over here, and the leads are kind of bent on here, so I got to kind of straighten them up a bit. And I got to thread the needle here with these pins. The switch mounts down against the board firmly, and there are a couple tabs on the bottom here also to attach it, so that the switch itself has got a secondary anchor point and it's not just being anchored in by the leads. We'll put a fair bit of solder on here just to hold it in place, and then solder down the gold-plated pins. Okay, that's one switch. The other one is a 3-pin switch, which just goes over here on the other side, like that. And like the other one, it's got anchor pins as well. Okay, that's got our switches mounted. We'll just check these off on the list here. I have an 8-pin socket to go in, which is this one right here, and it says it's non-directional specific. Where does it go? This goes into where? CN2 goes right here. Okay, and it says put it down flush to the board, and after soldering, cut the excessive parts of the lead. So it's going to go down flush on the board like this, and these leads are going to be cut off after it's soldered down. That's good. Okay, now we have a couple of little L-shaped brackets that have to be mounted on here as well. Actually, there's another connector. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, I can put this in. This is step 6. We'll put the other L-shaped connectors in here. Where are they? Our 2-pin connectors. I'll do that before, because that's part of step 6, and then we'll move on to step number 7. So we have a 2-pin connector here, and it goes into, I think it's CN10. Yeah, CN10 goes on here. And we have the 40-pin L-shaped header that goes on, and now I gotta look and see which way this thing goes in. It looks like the ones that are set down, it goes on like this. Wait a minute, it goes in the other way, I'm sure. What size does it go on here? It says insert, install the back side, so it goes on from this side here. That's something that's important to know. So it goes on like that, and then we solder it down on this side. Just tack it in on either corner, that way I don't have to worry about it coming loose while I'm working on it. Just before starting on this video tonight, I was watching Dave over on the EEV blog, where he was testing out the batterizer, which is of course it's a complete fraud, right? Anybody from the engineering world knows that anybody that buys those things has got sucker stamped on their forehead. I didn't finish watching his test. He was live streaming it there for a while, and probably still is right now. But he had his little model train going around in circles, counting how many times it would make it around the track before the battery went dead. It's always fun when you get a product that you can debunk any claims. Next is a couple of L brackets that are mounted down here to, I guess these are to hold the some of the other little circuit boards in place. I'm just looking here. It says L-shaped metal bracket fixed with a panhead screw, no soldering applied to the PC board, mounting matching the printing on the PC board, and fixed securely. So there are L-shaped brackets that have to go on here. Just looking to see where they all go. It's an L bracket that goes here. Well, maybe there's only one that goes on at this point. Looks like there's only one that goes here. It goes on kind of like that. And then there's a small screw that goes in from the bottom, which is a ridiculously small. Looks to be Phillips. Let's find my small Phillips screwdriver to attach this thing. Here we go. Put on the L bracket. The first one. Okay. That one's in place, sort of. Not quite exactly straight, is it? I'll just straighten that up a bit. Okay, now what is it asking me to do? It's asking me to get the Unit 3 PC board, which is this one here, and I have to put that around. Looks like it goes around the volume control like that. There's a little slot. If you look at this, there's a slot in the board here, and it just slides down like that. And then another screw goes into the front to hold it in place to that L bracket. Like that. And then I can put the hardware on to anchor. Tighten up the screws now. Now I can put the nut and washer onto the volume control itself to hold it in place. And we'll just give that a bit of a torque down here. Okay, and that has got this page done. Let's go to the next page. And now we have a couple 12 ohm resistors. Now, well, this is unit number 4. So this board, I'm going to set this aside. Let's go to board number 4. Unit number 4 board. It has R45 and R46, which are these two here, and they are 12 ohm resistors, which are black, or brown, red, black. So we'll mount R45 and R46. We're getting there. I think this probably will be a 4-part video as well, because so I'll complete the circuit boards and then I'll do a final assembly. So that's where I put everything into the case, and probably do the modifications for the bias or the amp class, you know, tetrode, pentrode, ultralinear. I'll do that on the final video. Still got a fair bit of hardware though to mount on this thing. Gotta find, there's another connector here. Here it is. Okay, we got a few more connectors to mount on this. So now we've got this other connector that has to be mounted, and it's going to be CN4, and it's going to go through from this side as well, like that. And we solder it down on the back side. So let's get that one in place. Next we have another switch. This is switch 2. It's another 6-pin switch, and it goes right down here. So I'll line up the pins. And solder it down. Okay, that one's done. We got a couple more capacitors to go on this board. It's C19 and C20. And now we've got a couple of mini jacks. I think we've got one here. Where is this one? This is unit 4. Oh, now I got to go to unit 6. So that's everything on here. Well, for now, I guess there's a couple more. Did I miss that? Oh, I missed CN5 and CN6. That's the ones. CN5 is a L-shaped connector, as is CN6, so these go in like that. They mount on the board like that. Yeah, I just want to make sure I got the right ones here. Yep, that's it. They're in right. And that'll complete the assembly of this board. But what I was doing there is I was just pushing the connectors flush so that they'll sit flush with the board. Okay, that's unit number 4 complete. Now we move on to unit number 6. Which is this little board here. And on this one we've got some jacks to install. So let me find the jacks. Oh, here they are. So we've got red and white jacks to install here, and they only go in one way, and they are keyed, so it's easy to figure out which way they go in. There's little holes and little tabs here that go through the board. Snap in like that. So we have 2 red and 2 white, and they I guess this is a mini jack as well. So here's the white one. This one looks like it goes down on this side of the board. I'm just looking to see how it fits in here. Maybe I've got the wrong one. I think this is the wrong one here actually. It goes up on this side. Where does it go? Oh, it goes over here. Okay, we got another white one here to go in. Another red one. Where's the red one? There it is. And one more white one. And finally, the black one. That one just surface mounts like that. So we'll do that one after. We'll solder these ones in place first. Yeah, that's got the jacks installed. Now we have the black one to go on the front here, and it fits on just like that. There's 3 terminals on one side and there's 2 on the other, so that just sits on the board like this. And it actually there's 2 little tabs that fit through the board to hold it in place. So we put the surface mount jack on there, and then we'll just tack down the first pad first. That'll hold it in place. Then we can do the other 3. This one probably would have made sense to put this one down first before putting the other ones in place, but we'll manage. There we go, it's done. Okay, that's got Unit 6 and Unit 5 assembly. It's going to get me, I gotta find the Unit 5 board, where it went. This is the Unit 5 board here. And the Unit 6 board is attached to the unit 5 with these brackets. So we have to put a bracket on here, wherever the bracket goes. Looks like the bracket goes on down here. And it looks to be that it goes on from the bottom side of the board. So we'll put a screw through the board and attach the bracket. Like that, and then I have to find how it attaches to unit 5. Unit 6 attaches to unit 5. Looks like it goes on right here, like that. So there's another screw that goes through here. It attaches that bracket. These are not magnetic screws. Either that or my screwdriver has lost its magnetism. We'll just see if I can find my little magnetizing unit here, which is full of screws. And everything else is stuck to it. Nope, these are not magnetic screws. Gotta love these non-magnetic screws. I hate non-magnetic screws. It's so much easier if you've got screws that you can pick up and have stick to the end of your screwdriver until you drive them in. Okay, tighten that one down. It tells me here, it says unit 6 side B goes to unit 5 side B. Tighten down these screws on both sides here. Okay, I've attached those, and now there should be some tabs that I have to solder straight through, which there are. If we look down here on the edge of the board, you can see that I have to solder these tabs. That's what brings the electrical connections through from this board to this board. So once we've attached the two of them, I have to flow some solder down between the two. This could be fun. And you guys can't see what I'm doing because of where the camera's sitting, but I'll show you once it's done. How does that sound? These things lined up properly. So as you can see, what we're doing down here, we're just flowing solder between the two boards and forming a bridge from one board to the other. It's very much like the other amp that I built. The volume control was kind of connected the same way. So once these screws are put in, they're never going to come out. You know, you're never going to separate this board without taking off all this solder. But once it's done, that's how it looks. So now Unit 5 and Unit 6 are attached together. We can move on to the next page, which is where we assemble unit 4 into the unit 5 and 6 assembly. So it'll get unit 4, which is this other board here. And this one here, we have to undo this. Undo the nut here on the switch. Because this is going to go through the board, and this is what's going to hold it together. And it looks like it's going to go through this way, like this, I believe. The speaker impedance switch goes in here. Let's take a look at this. We'll take this other washer off. That's going to go through like that. And the boards fit together. I think there's one more nut that has to come off the back here. You got to remove both of these nuts. And then we put the impedance switch through like that, and then we can put our nuts back on. We'll put our washer on, and we'll put a couple of nuts on there, at least one, to hold it together. And then we have to solder this one as well. What this switch does is this is the speaker impedance switch. So if you're using between 4 and 6 ohm speakers, you have to switch in one position. If you're using 8 to 16, you switch it the other way. Tighten that down. Might as well put, maybe that doesn't go on yet. That might go on the back. Okay, that's in place, and now again we have to solder these connections through here as well. So let's do that. Try to arrange this so you guys can see what I'm doing here, if it's possible to do it. There we go. That one's done. Okay, we got a couple of fuse holders that have got to go in here. Where do they go? They go into unit number 7. So let's get board number 7. This is board number 7. There should be a couple of little fuse holders here somewhere. Somewhere there's fuse holders. They're probably still in the bags. Here's the miniature fuse holder. It just clips in like that. And these do go in, they are direction specific, so you gotta be careful because they do have tabs that hold the fuse in place. If you put them in backwards, you'll never be able to get the fuse in. If you look at the structure of these, okay, they do have a tab on the back side here, so that's the end of the fuse. So obviously they have to go in with them facing out. So we put the fuse holder in and solder that down. And of course there's a fuse to go in here too. We'll pop in the fuse. Ouch, it's still hot. Okay, now we got the AC power jack to go on now. Oh, I got a connector here too. And it says 7-pin connector. And this one is important because this depends on, you set the voltage depending on where you put this plug. So for 120 volt countries, which is what I'm in, 115, we're going to mount this plug here on the 115 volt. But since this kit shipped everywhere in the world, depending on what country, if you're in Japan, for example, I think they have 100 volts over there. And if you're over in the UK or 230 volt countries, you would select the 230 volt setting. So we're going to put the connector in 115 volts because, well, typically we have 120 here, but 115 I guess is close enough. And we're going to solder that down. And what that does is that just selects the correct, the power transformer will have multiple windings, and this just selects the correct winding to use. So that we're not wiring up the transformer. The transformer's got a connector on it, and by placement of the power plug here, it's applying power to the correct pins. And we can actually look at the traces too here to see what the differences are. So on 120, our power is going to use these two windings here. The windings will be in parallel, and if it's 240, it's going to wind. It's going to put them in series. And just look at the traces here. Live is our fuse, so on 120, that'll be for the switch. We have hot going into both of these pins here, and these two are neutral. But on 240, hot goes into this one, and then the other side of the primary winding is connected to the hot, which was also connected to hot. So in this one, the two primary windings are connected in parallel, and on the 240, they're connected in series. So that's what that does. Okay, that's done. What's remaining here? We got another plug here that goes on here. This is going to be for the power switch, I'm sure. So we'll mount that down. And as I say, this thing's coming together quite nicely for part 3 of this video. There will be a part 4, as that'll be the final assembly when I actually put everything together. So we'll get all the components mounted on all the boards here, and then part 4 will be the actual final assembly of the unit and installing the tubes and testing it and everything. Okay, I believe I have the right ones now. It's these type. A nut goes on the back to hold these in place. And then we mount the power jack in place and solder it down. So put those in. We're just going to give them a bit of a torque here. Another pair of pliers on here. Where are we? Okay, that's got that in place. And now the power jack can go in place. power jack in place and screw it down with a couple of screws. And it says this is for temporary fixation, so these are going to come out and go back into the actual cabinet. I think when the cabinet goes together, they just want me to screw this down now to hold the power plug in place so that I can solder it in. So I'll put the screws in for now. Terminals. And of course the all-important earth connector, the third prong as they call it. When you're working with tube equipment, it's vital that you have the ground lug soldered down, because if there was a fault, you would not want the chassis to become live. So that is imperative that you hook up the third prong, and then we'll put down the spark killer as they call it. This is a spark arrestor. And that will complete this board. So there we have all of the circuit boards now complete. The remainder of the build is going to be assembling into the cabinet, and that is going to take place in part number 4. Thanks for watching part 3. We'll catch you real soon for the final assembly and test of this wonderful TU82006L6 single-ended Class A configurable triode, pentrode, and ultralinear tube amplifier. Join us for part 4 when we finish the assembly and test it. Thanks for watching.